The strange new student asterisk. He was not a student. He was an alien vampire kid in class. Morning began like any other in the small school. Children filled the hallways with laughter and chatter. Some rushed with books in their hands, others dragged their feet slowly, wishing for more sleep. The classroom buzzed with knives, pencils tapping, chairs scraping, whispers floating in every corner. It was supposed to be an ordinary day, but something different was waiting. The teacher walked in with a serious look, her eyes sharper than usual. The students quickly tried to look busy, but their curiosity was stronger than their fear. The teacher cleared her throat and said, "Class, today, we have a new student joining us." The room fell silent. Whispers died. And every eye turned to the door. The door opened slowly, and a boy stepped inside. He was unlike any child they had ever seen. His skin was pale, almost white like snow under the sun. His eyes glowed faintly, a strange light hidden deep inside them. His hair was dark, messy, and his smile seemed forced, his lips hiding sharp teeth. He walked quietly, his footsteps too soft for the wooden floor. It felt as if he floated rather than walked. The teacher gestured, "Introduce yourself." But the boy only nodded. He looked at the class, his eyes moving slowly from one face to another. A shiver ran down the spines of many students. Something about him felt wrong, or maybe just different. He did not blink often. He did not look nervous like most new kids. He looked calm, too calm, as if the classroom was nothing new to him. He sat in the empty chair at the back, placing a small strange-looking bag on his desk. The bag was unlike the backpacks other children carried. It was shiny, smooth, with symbols no one could read carved into the side. The students stared, whispering, "What is that? It looks weird." The teacher glared at them, and silence returned. As the lesson began, the children noticed more strange things. When the teacher wrote on the board, the new boy also wrote, but his writing was not in English. It was in strange curved symbols glowing faintly. One child leaned closer and whispered, "That's not English." Another replied, "It doesn't look like any language I know." The boy noticed their stares but did not stop. He kept writing calmly. Then sunlight streamed through the classroom window. The golden light touched the boy's desk, and he quickly raised his hand to cover his face. He moved his chair back into the shadow, his glowing eyes narrowing. The children gasped quietly, some whispering, "He doesn't like the sun." One brave kid murmured, "He looks like a vampire." Another added, "No, he looks like an alien." The mix of whispers spread like fire, filling the classroom with silent fear and wonder. The teacher pretended not to notice, but even she glanced at him nervously. The boy sat still, his pale hands folded, his glowing eyes staring ahead. Without blinking, the class returned to noise, but the tension never faded. Everyone kept stealing glances at him, waiting for him to do something strange. During reading time, the other kids opened their books, but he pulled out a thin device from his shiny bag. It looked like a tablet, but smaller, glowing with soft blue light. He tapped it with long fingers, symbols appearing and vanishing quickly. The teacher froze for a second, then turned away, pretending not to see. The students stared in shock. None of them had ever seen such a thing before. At lunch break, everyone ran out into the playground, laughing and shouting, but the strange boy stayed at his desk, calm and silent. He opened his bag again and pulled out a small flask. The children who peeked from the door gasped when they saw what he drank. It was red, dark red, and it looked too much like blood. Their whispers grew louder. "He's a vampire." "No, he's an alien with vampire blood." Fear mixed with curiosity. The children could not decide what he truly was. When the bell rang again, the boy closed his bag and sat silently. He never smiled, never laughed, never joined the noise. But sometimes, his glowing eyes caught someone staring, and in those seconds, it felt like he could see right into their thoughts. No one dared to sit near him. No one dared to speak to him. Yet everyone wanted to know who, or what, he really was. The day ended. The children rushed home. But the whispers followed them. They told their parents, their friends, even their neighbors. By evening, the entire town was buzzing with rumors. A strange boy joined the school. He doesn't eat, doesn't blink, and drinks red liquid. Some laughed, calling it nonsense. Others felt chills in their bones. But deep in the classroom, when everyone had gone, the strange boy still sat. He looked at the chalkboard, at the empty desks, at the fading sunlight. His glowing eyes flickered. His lips parted just enough to reveal sharp fangs. Then he whispered in a language no one understood, his voice low and cold. It was clear he was not an ordinary child. He was not a student, not like the others. He was something far stranger, far more dangerous. He was an alien vampire kid, sitting quietly among humans, waiting. The next morning, the classroom was filled with whispers. Children sat in groups, heads close together, talking about the strange new boy. He didn't eat lunch, one said. He only drank something red. I saw it too. Another whispered. It looked like blood. Some laughed nervously, but others shivered, their eyes wide with fear. When the teacher entered, everyone rushed to their seats. The pale boy walked in behind her, quiet as always, his glowing eyes scanning the room. He took his place at the back, placing his shiny bag on the desk again. The teacher started the lesson, pretending nothing was strange. But the children could not focus. Their eyes kept drifting toward him, waiting for something unusual to happen. It did not take long. When the teacher asked the class to open their books, the boy did not follow. Instead, he pulled out his glowing device from his bag. Symbols danced across its surface, bright and alive. The children gasped quietly, hiding their reactions behind their books. One boy whispered, "That's alien technology." Another replied, "But he acts like a vampire too. Maybe he's both." The pale boy did not react to their whispers. He tapped the device calmly, his glowing eyes fixed on the shifting symbols. The teacher froze for a moment, then turned away quickly. It was clear even she was afraid to question him. The mystery of who, or what, he was grew deeper. At break time, the students hurried outside, but some stayed behind, peeking through the windows. The strange boy remained at his desk, silent as stone. Once again he pulled out his flask, unscrewed the lid, and drank slowly. The red liquid glistened under the light, too thick to be juice, too strange to be normal. One girl whispered, "It has to be blood." But whose? Her friend shook his head, whispering back, "Maybe it's not human blood. Maybe it's alien." Then something even stranger happened. The lights in the classroom flickered, buzzing softly. The shadows in the corners of the room seemed to stretch and move. A pencil rolled off a desk, even though no one touched it. The students outside gasped, pressing their faces to the glass. The boy sat calmly through it all, as if the chaos obeyed him, as if he was the center of the mystery. When the bell rang, the children rushed back into class, but their laughter was quieter now, their eyes sharp and cautious. The pale boy sat in the same spot, staring at the board with unblinking eyes. Every few minutes, his gaze drifted across the room, landing on one child at a time. Those who met his eyes swore it felt like he could see into their thoughts. They looked away quickly, their hearts racing. The teacher asked a question, and everyone raised their hands except him. Instead, he wrote something in his notebook, the same strange curved symbols, glowing faintly like before. The boy sitting next to him peeked and whispered, "That's not human writing." The pale boy slowly turned his glowing eyes toward him, and the child froze in fear. The boy did not speak, but the message was clear. Do not look again. At lunch, the other kids gathered in the corner of the playground. They whispered, "He doesn't eat, he doesn't blink, he doesn't laugh." One brave boy said, "I think he's testing us, watching us." A girl nodded. "Maybe he's here to study humans." But then another added, "Or maybe he's waiting for night, waiting for blood." The group fell silent, fear tightening around their hearts. Later in the day, the class was told to draw pictures of their families. Everyone grabbed crayons and paper, filling them with houses, parents, and pets. But the strange boy drew something else. His paper showed a dark sky filled with stars. At the center was a huge glowing planet with rings around it. Beside it, smaller worlds circled like moons, and in the corner of the page, a figure stood with sharp teeth and glowing eyes. He stared at his own drawing with calm pride, as if it was home. The teacher looked at the picture, her face turning pale. She opened her mouth, but said nothing, moving quickly to the next desk. The students who saw it whispered to each other. He drew another world. He drew himself as a vampire. The mystery was no longer just rumor. It was staring them in the face. When the final bell rang, the children rushed out. But one boy stayed behind. He watched the pale student pack his bag, sliding the glowing device inside. The boy's curiosity burned stronger than his fear. He decided he would follow him after school because the mystery was too big to ignore. The pale student was not like anyone else. He was not normal, not human, not only vampire. No. The school day ended, the sun dipped lower, and children hurried home. The air was full of chatter about the strange new boy. Some were scared, some were excited, but all of them felt curious. One brave student, named Daniel, could not let the mystery rest. He stayed behind, pretending to fix his bag, while secretly watching. The pale boy packed slowly, sliding his glowing device into the shiny bag. His movements were calm, almost too calm, like someone who did not belong here. Daniel's heart raced, but his curiosity was stronger than his fear. When the strange boy finally left the classroom, Daniel followed quietly. The hallway was empty, the sound of footsteps echoing against the walls. The boy moved without hesitation, like he already knew the school perfectly. He pushed open the back door and stepped into the shadowy alley behind the building. Daniel slipped after him, hiding behind the corner. The boy stopped near a broken mirror leaning against the wall. He adjusted the strap of his shiny bag, his pale face glowing in the dim light. Daniel froze, because the reflection in the mirror was wrong. The walls, the ground, even Daniel's own face appeared in the mirror. But the pale boy's reflection was missing. He stood right in front of it. But the glass showed nothing. Daniel's heart pounded, his whisper breaking the silence. "He's a vampire." Before Daniel could move, the boy opened his bag and pulled something out. It was the glowing device, smaller than a book, brighter than fire. Symbols shifted on its surface, shining like stars. The boy tapped it, and a small hologram appeared in the air. Daniel's eyes widened as he saw it. It was not words, it was a picture of a planet. Huge and glowing, with rings around it and moons circling like guards. The pale boy looked at it with calm eyes, whispering in a strange language. Daniel covered his mouth in shock. This was not only a vampire, this was an alien too. The boy was both, something never seen before, an alien vampire child, hiding in plain sight inside their classroom. Suddenly, the boy's glowing eyes turned toward the corner. Daniel froze, realizing he had been seen. The alien vampire kid tilted his head, his face unreadable. He stepped closer, his pale feet silent on the ground. Daniel trembled, ready to run, but the boy raised one hand. His voice was low, clumsy, but calm. "I am not here to harm," he said slowly. "I am here to learn." Daniel blinked, surprised by the words. The boy placed the glowing device back into his bag and continued. "My world sent me to study," he said, his voice breaking. Between words, he pointed at the school building, then at Daniel, then at himself. "Learn human life," he whispered. Daniel's fear began to fade, replaced by wonder. He asked nervously, "Why hide? Why pretend?" The pale boy lowered his head, his sharp teeth showing slightly. "Different," he whispered. "Humans fear different." The shadows round them shifted slightly, as if answering his emotions. Daniel realized the strange flickering lights and moving pencils in class were not accidents. They were part of his power, part of his alien blood mixed with vampire instincts. But instead of using it to attack, he was using it to stay hidden. Daniel took a deep breath and asked, What do you want?" The boy's glowing eyes softened. His voice almost breaking. "Friend," he said simply. "I want, friend." The single word echoed in Daniel's mind, heavy with meaning. Daniel nodded slowly, his fear almost gone. He realized this strange boy was not dangerous, not here to attack. He was lonely, different, and searching for connection. For the first time, Daniel felt pity instead of fear. The boy stepped back, pulling the hood of his jacket over his head. He whispered one last time, "Do not tell." "Not ready?" Then he turned and walked away. Blending into the shadows, Daniel stood frozen, his heart racing, his mind filled with questions. When he finally walked home, he kept hearing the word in his head, friend. The alien vampire kid had said, not enemy, not monster, not invader, just a boy who wanted to belong. Daniel knew he could not tell the others yet. They were not ready. They would only fear him more. But deep inside, Daniel understood the truth. This was not just a new student, not just a strange boy in class. He was something far greater, a bridge between two worlds, a story that was only just beginning. The next morning, the classroom was louder than usual. Whispers about the pale boy filled every corner. Children argued in low voices, some saying he was a vampire, others swearing he was an alien. No one could agree, but everyone agreed on one thing: he was not normal. When the teacher entered, the pale boy followed her quietly. He walked to his desk in the back, eyes glowing faintly, his shiny bag resting beside him. The students fell silent, their eyes watching his every move. The teacher tried to continue the lesson, but the tension was heavy. During math practice, one of the bullies, a tall boy named Mark, leaned toward his friends. He smirked and whispered, "Watch this." He picked up a paper ball and threw it at the pale boy, hitting his desk. The strange boy did not react, his face calm, his eyes unblinking. Mark grew bolder. He kicked the leg of the boy's chair. Still, the pale boy stayed quiet, his hands folded neatly. The bullies laughed, their voices filling the room. Finally, Mark grabbed at the shiny bag sitting on the desk, pulling it hard. The pale boy's glowing eyes flashed red, his lips parted, and sharp fangs gleamed. For just a second, the classroom froze. Children gasped. Some screamed. The shadows in the corners stretched. The lights flickered wildly. For a terrifying moment, it felt like the room belonged to him. The air grew colder, the windows rattled, and the bullies backed away in fear. Mark dropped the bag quickly, his face pale, his hands shaking. The pale boy's eyes burned bright red, but only for a second. Then, slowly, the glow faded. His fangs disappeared. His hands dropped to his lap. He lowered his head, breathing softly, as if fighting something inside. The classroom was silent. No one dared to move. Finally, in a broken, quiet voice, he whispered one word, "Friend." The sound was so unexpected that the fear cracked. The children blinked, confused, their hearts racing. The boy who had looked like a monster just asked for something simple, not blood, not power, not revenge, only friendship. Daniel, the brave student who had followed him before, stood up. He walked to the back of the class and stood beside the pale boy. His voice was shaky, but loud enough for everyone to hear. "He's different, but he's not dangerous," Daniel said. "He just wants to belong." The other children stared, unsure what to believe. But the memory of the boy's quiet ways, his refusal to hurt anyone, and his single word, "friend," echoed in their minds. One by one, they began to relax, their fears softening. A girl near the front whispered, "He didn't attack. He stopped himself." The pale boy lifted his glowing eyes slowly. He looked at the class, his expression still calm, almost sad. He opened his mouth again, repeating carefully, "Friend," this time. The word was clearer, stronger, filled with hope. The class shifted from fear to amazement. A few clapped nervously. Others giggled with relief. The tension in the air melted, replaced by something lighter. The pale boy looked confused at first, then tilted his head, trying to copy the sound of their laughter. It was awkward, strange, not quite human, but it made the children laugh louder. The teacher wiped her forehead, relief flooding her face. She looked at the pale boy and then at the rest of the class. Maybe, she whispered softly, he really is just here to learn. The bullies sat quietly now, their faces red with shame. Mark did not try again to grab the bag. He could still feel the cold power from that moment when the boy's eyes glowed red. But he also remembered how quickly the boy had stopped himself, choosing peace instead of fear. The day went on, and slowly the children began to treat him differently. Some whispered less, some dared to smile at him. He still did not eat, still drank from his red flask, still wrote in strange glowing symbols. But now the whispers carried less fear and more wonder. At the end of class, Daniel patted the boy's shoulder. The pale boy looked at him, blinking slowly, and for the first time, a real smile curved across his lips. It was small, sharp teeth still showing, but it was a smile. The children clapped again, cheering softly, as if welcoming him. The pale boy picked up his shiny bag, holding it close. He whispered one last time, "Friend." The word echoed in the room, soft but powerful. It was no longer just a strange sound from a strange child. It was a promise. That night, when the children went home, they told their families. They did not say, "He was a monster." They said, "He is different, but he is our friend." And deep inside, they knew they had witnessed something greater than fear. He was not a student like them. He was not ordinary. He was an alien. He was a vampire. He was something they could never fully understand. But he was also something far greater. He was proof that even the strangest being could belong, not by force, not by fear, but by a single word, friend.